Hey everyone, in this video I'm going over the add-on Skada. I'll just be going over a few things like how to change how it looks and how to create new windows. I might go into a few little details, but I won't be going over everything, especially the different specs of what it's recording and whatnot. If you're wanting that, I could try doing that for a later video, but for now we're just going over the general setup. So there's a few ways to get into the configuration. You can use this icon by right clicking on it and going to configure. There's another way by typing /Skada space config, and the last way is interface. You would click on add-ons and go to Skada. Once you're in here, make sure you are selected on this Windows and it will say create window. And we'll create a window, we'll just name it damage. Click OK and it'll pop up on your screen. You can move this window by the way. So yeah, if you're just following along. But anyway, once you have it created, if you want to change your mind and name it something else, we can change that here and then click OK. And this is where you delete it as well. I'll be doing that later after the video, but yeah, let's go ahead and start changing how it looks. So right now, comparing it to my window here, it's blue and the text is small. So let's go ahead and change those. Let's change it so it's not blue anymore. This is the tint. We'll just turn it all the way dark. And this is the opacity. Let's get it pretty see-through. Right there, that should be good. This background color is just so... Oh, by the way, let me explain this. You won't see the preview of it until you click on it. Left clicking on one of these selections will make you go deeper into the selection. Right clicking will make you come further out. So we could go into total damage, right click, current fight, damage, and so on. The list is pretty large. It records lots of really helpful information, some not so helpful, but it's all there if you want to see it. And so yeah, that's how you navigate it. Let's get back to editing the color. Like I was saying, this background color is only visible if this bar color has low opacity. So if this is kind of see-through, then you can see the background color. If this is maxed out, if you want this completely black like it is now, then you will not see a background color even if you max this opacity out. But if you lower the opacity, you will then start to see this lighter shade of gray here, and we can actually change that to, let's make it something visible. This one actually does update live, that's kind of nice. For some reason that one does not. So I mean, you could change it to whatever you want, whatever you think looks nice. And I'll just keep mine generic and try to match what I have going on over here for the most part. And I'll leave the opacity completely clear for the background. So the reason why you're still seeing blue is because we haven't changed the window color yet. So we'll come back to the title bar, but we're going on to the window background color here. We'll change that to black and have the opacity a little bit lower. That's fairly similar. And yeah, let's go back to the title bar. We can also change the title bar. So if we're making this a, if we wanted to color code it, like make this a specific window for damage only, we could have this red, so it's color coded for the damage window, or whatever color you feel damage would be. And then you could color code another window for healing, or however you want to set it up. We'll just leave it red for now. Let's change the opacity. Actually, that looked pretty good. Let's go back to the bars. So to make these a little bit better, bigger and easier to read, you'll want to increase the bar height. Let's just set it to 20 and set the font size to 20. That's much better. So it's really similar. We just have we just need to adjust the title bar. Let's make this bigger. And there we go. We got it pretty similar. Actually, this one's a little bit bigger than that one, but that's fine. We're just showing how to set it up. And you can change the font size through this list here. Change it to anything you want. So we'll just use that one as an example. Again, this is just the title bar. For the bars themselves, if you feel something would be easier to read, you could change it to whatever. Just make sure you're going through the list here. I would suggest choosing something that's easy to read rather than something that looks cool. But that's just me. Anyways, let's move on to this mode switching. This will probably be the last thing. Well, I'll go over one more thing. The other settings below here, you'll just have to go through it, select what you want. It's not going to really configure what this add-on looks like. It will only configure what it records and how it interacts with your screen. So in this mode switching part of the add-on, if you want to have the window jump to a specific selection while you're in combat, you'll just select from this down arrow one of these. Like if you want to record the interrupts while you're in combat, it would have this specific window go to interrupts while you're in combat. And then if you have this checkbox selected, it will then return to where you were before you entered combat. So you could have it set to damage, and then the second you enter combat, it'll jump down to interrupts, just for an example. But you can always just leave that off, and you could start reviewing something, and then once you entered combat, it would jump to interrupts or whatever you have that set to. I preferred having these set to none. I like doing it manually, but it's just your preference. So for this wipe mode, this is for like if you died, like your group just wiped, and you have this selected as something, it will then work just like the combat mode, but it'll jump to whatever you were wanting it to show why you died, why you wiped rather. So you could have it set to damage taken, deaths, or enemy damage taken, or enemy damage done, whatever would be more useful for the fight you're on. For like the garage fight, one of the strategies that was really common, you would want to you would attack this weapon. So this would be a really useful thing to record if the weapon wasn't being damaged by a specific DPS, then you could call them out on that and try to fix that. So I mean, that can be useful, but you can always just select it here, enemy damage taken. But I mean, that's just a personal preference, so it's up to you. If that's what you want, then definitely use it. I think there's one more thing I'll go over. This general options, the status segments here, it's gonna start, I believe, at 15 just by default, but you can slide it all the way over to 30, and then it will start recording 30 segments, so 30 fights, and before fights start disappearing from the top of the list. And it'll start using more memory, so you'll need to kind of gauge whether your computer can handle this or not. It's not terrible. It's not a terrible amount of memory usage, but it definitely, if you have a lower end computer, try to keep this at a lower number. But yeah, that's about it for this video. If it was helpful to you, please give me a thumbs up. Thanks for watching and have a good one.